for what could be a very watchable encounter indeed. This could be absolutely explosive.
Could be. Now, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, Rob. If I'm watching this match, I want to be just behind the stage, talking with you.
Thank you. Because there's lots at stake here. I mean, this will further fuel the talk about MVG if it does go the way of Mervyn King once again. If you weren't with us in Hildesheim, it was 6-1 on that occasion. In the in the third round of the German Darts Championship, MVG came through his opener that weekend, but lost on the Sunday afternoon 59 to the man on stage alongside him.
You know, there's something that a lot of people forget, you know, about the dominance of Phil Taylor between, say, 1995 and, say, 20 years later. It's the fact that he wasn't world number one that whole time. It's a very different system. There was a point system in place before the Order of Merit came in. And there were a few other world number ones in that time. Rod Harrington was one of them.
Ronnie Baxter was one as well, I think.
Peter Manley. Colin Lloyd.
135.
I'm sure Dennis Priestley was a world number one as well. But whether you are world number one or not,
106.
ultimately you will be judged on how many world titles you have. That is my philosophy. Merv misses the 54.
38. Michael, you require
And Gerwen goes for the 60 himself to possibly set up double 4. But now it's 17 ball. Double 8. Oh, it gets there in the end. Nice recovery from MVG. Nobody has been world number one in all of his tenure there. He's been there a very, very long time. He's had challenges from the very first day he was world number one, and he's kept it for a very long time. Now, Colin Lloyd, who was commentating for PDC TV today at the Women's Series,
51.
He didn't hold it for 7 years. Rod Harrington didn't hold it for 7 years. Manley didn't hold it for 7 years.
96.
There are people out there right now who genuinely believe they can be a world number one. It's something they want to tick off their list.
24.
Michael's got a different list. He wants to double. Yes, he wants to double his World Championship tally so he can be regarded as the best Dutch player of all time, because he wants the 6. He wants one more than Raymond.
58.
Plenty of support for MVG, as you might expect.
At which point does that shade of green become MVG green if you go to a decorator store for a feature wall colour?
It would be some feature.
92. Michael, you require 130.
Well, this is a very doable out. Can he find the 60 from there? He's not going to try.
58.
Well, he had another option of using the bottom of the board, chose not to, and has left, ironically, the number that he hit to get to world number one. When he won the Worlds for the very first time against Peter Wright, it was 72. That time he got 2 singles for double top. This time he gets the double 12. He gets it the other way, but is 2-0 up, and is definitely, by the looks of this, not going to get hammered this time.
18 data for a 2-0 lead for Michael van Gerwen.
99.
It's fair to say that when Merv was playing against Mindy Barauskas yesterday, that he didn't play his best stuff, just did enough.
31.
I think it's also fair to say that Merv probably didn't know anything about Mindaugas from Lithuania. He does now.
134.
These guys have been dueling with each other for the best part of 14 years since Michael came into the BDO and started winning titles almost immediately. Around about that time, that's when Merv came to the PDC. But Michael followed him within a matter of a year.
34.
Yeah, they know each other inside out. They have met countless times before. This is actually their 10th meeting on a European tour stage. A trick shot there from MVG as well for good measure.
Well,
points for that one though.
That stem is absolutely ruined. Needs a new one.
Of course, that win for Mervyn King in Hildesheim was his first ever success against MVG. He did so with an average of 100.21 as well.
150.
Michael van Gerwen has won every other meeting. There's been a couple of finals along the way as well. A final in Austria in 2013, Dutch Darts Masters a year later, a semi-final at the same tournament in 2016. This is their first ever meeting though here in Sindelfingen at the European Darts Grand Prix. And so far so good for the world number one and the number one seed.
108.
Merv not looking his best tonight as Michael goes for tops.
88. Mervyn, you require 48.
Michael's only averaging 93 here. Definitely not at his best. So the games that we've built up have not delivered drama yet. 2-8s for Merv.
32. Michael, you require 20.
Should be 3-0.
Here's the third leg, Michael van
Gerwen finding the top left-hand corner.
Fourth leg, Michael to throw first. Game on.
Before you came into the commentary for the European
100.
Tour, did you watch a lot of darts, say 15, 20 years ago?
The thing was, I was a big fan of actually going to tournaments, and I even went to a lot of exhibitions as well. I first went to an exhibition in 1984. Would you believe that is true, by the way, Dan? It is true.
84.
John Lowe against Cliff Lazarenko in Newcastle. It was a smoke-filled room, and I thought it was brilliant. And I was sort of hooked from then on, but I preferred to watch it live than actually watch it. I mean, I lived in Doncaster for a bit, and there were tournaments, as you mentioned, at the Dome. I went to a couple there. And I watched the big tournaments on TV and whatever. I mean, I do remember watching John Lowe's £100,000
100
at the MFI. Yeah,
9-dart finish at the MFI in September, October '84 on telly. Things like that stand out for me. So I wasn't a religious watcher, but I did have a
59.
love of the game. Yeah.
Cliff, what a legend.
I honestly remember that like yesterday. Walking into that room, there was
100.
It felt like there were about 5,000 people in there crammed into this room. It was just like, I was only a little lad at the time as well. It was just very intimidating, just smoke everywhere.
Yeah, I'm glad those days are behind us. We have
Michael, you require
boisterous atmospheres these days, but not filled with smoke anymore.
It was at a hotel as well, right near the train station in Newcastle.
The Thistle.
I think it was called something else then, but yeah. You know the one I mean anyway on that side.
I do, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful building.
Big ballroom at the front, or big conference centre at the front.
Double 14. He's had chances.
107.
He's had plenty of chances. And Van Gerwen has got away with this one. And he's doing a very good job with the chances he's getting.
Fifth leg, Mervyn to throw first. Game on.
Certainly is, and he's going about his business very effectively. I think Michael van Gerwen will
85.
assess this performance. If he does come through, he'll say there is room for improvement. I don't think he'll be totally satisfied with what's happened because he's missed darts at double, but this is a good response. And I think he just wanted to address this issue with Mervyn King as well, as far as atoning for that 6-1 defeat in Hildesheim a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that's true. There's a possible meeting between himself and Vincent van der Voort in the next round. That's if Vincent gets through max up. But that's better for Merv, but 15, 18, 16, 16 is steady.
Yeah, it's not spectacular, and that's what I'm saying. Michael van Gerwen will know that there is an abundance of room for improvement. Was there a follow-up question about my darts experience prior to
I'm
this?
just really curious, because, you know, Merv's been around for the best part of 25 years. I was interested to see what your experiences were before coming into the sport, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. How did they get their interest in the game? And back in the 80s, and especially around 84, that darts was making huge headlines in the tabloids and on TV. One
of my earliest, I think my first real big TV memory, apart from in fact it was before that, it was Della winning in '83. I remember that really vividly. I remember sitting down and watching pretty much all of it. I'm not sure all of it was live because it was in the days when they used to switch to it after the football scores at Christmas time. It was a strange devotion they had to the darts, then they sort of dip in and out of it like that.
No, it was great on grandstand this Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Home internationals and stuff like that. Great times as Merv gets his first leg of the contest.
Well, that Bobby George Bristow final in 80 was, the whole football programme was wiped out that day, so normally they just stuck with the video clips, but because there was hardly any games on because of all the snow, they decided to show it all live, and that's when I think darts really, really ballooned.
I totally agree.
119.
Weather occurrence. But I remember the Della final really well.
Well, I haven't heard much about it since, actually. Yeah, it's probably one of the most talked about games in the history of the sport.
58.
One of the most unbelievable statistics is that Van Gerwen's been around for about 14 years at the top level. Never won a competitive game at Lakeside. He got drilled 3 sets to 0 by Gary Robson in his first Lakeside.
92.
And then he went to PDC.
128.
Went in as one of the favourites as well that year.
Yeah.
And it was won by Wolfie.
45.
You just look at the body language of Van Gerwen at times in this match. He's trudging up to the board, his shoulders are drooping.
65.
He's not happy with himself.
Michael, you require 83.
He has said at times in games where he's got the big lead, he gets a bit bored. 99.
74. Mervyn, you require 167.
Does he feel like he's being pushed enough to stay urgent? That's when he does play his best stuff. And you do see that from Michael when he plays Gary Anderson. He feels the urgency when Gary's around.
58.
Michael,
you
he
require
needs
9.
to find that balance. He wants a win. He wants a winnable encounter. He doesn't want to be overly stretched. He wants to be
Michael Wenger.
given a good workout, and I'm not quite sure he's
Centre
getting
leg Mervyn to throw first.
He gave a really good interview a few years ago, and he said, I don't worry about the likes of Cross, Wright, Price, Michael
60.
Smith. And this is based on the time he gave the interview. My biggest rivals are Taylor, Barneveld and Anderson.
96.
All greats before he was a great. Everybody who's come after his commencement of greatness, he doesn't worry about them. And I think that's still the case. But there are people more on his radar these days. Like Sir Peterson, like Price, like Wright, like Aspinall.
Well, I think many will feel that Price MVG
100.
is the best tussle in the world right now. And that could well happen this weekend, although it would be in the final.
I love the fact that we have a plethora of people towards the top of the rankings. It's the same as the golf world. You've got Justin
85.
Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka. Same with tennis, with Nadal, Djokovic, Andy Murray, Federer. Darts has got that now.
45.
It's got MVG, it's got Price, it's got Michael Smith, it's got Peter Wright, it's got the lot. That's why it's so good right now. Can't ignore that setup from MVG with the 25 and 260s. That was great, and it is for the match.
Yeah, 160. Nice way to sign off this for MVG. Just another little statement of intent from the world number one. Can't find tops though. The finishing not totally on song today, although it's not been too bad at all. 5 from 10 now.
14-18 ball.
57.
Line was good, and there's a flick of the eyebrows because I think the match might be finished.
I don't think he'll make too many mistakes now. And double 10 gets him over the line. And Michael Van Gerwen